Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Speaking Show.
Hey there! So great to have you with us today.
You started a new job, new city, new routine, and someone asks, are you used to it yet? You want to answer, but now you're thinking, used to? Be used to? Get used to? Which one do I even use here?
Use the wrong one and the person you're talking to gets confused about your whole story.
By the end of this episode, you will know exactly which one to use, every single time. No more freezing, no more confusion.
Let's fix that right now.
So, the first phrase is used to, and this one is actually quite different from the other two.
Different how?
Used to talks about something you did regularly in the past, but you don't do it anymore. It's finished, it's over.
So it's always about the past.
Always, and only the past. There is no present form of used to. If something is still happening now, you cannot use it.
So imagine you had a habit 5 years ago. You went to the gym every morning, but now you don't. You say, I used to go to the gym every morning.
And the moment you say used to, the listener automatically knows that habit is gone. You don't do it anymore.
That's built into the phrase. You don't need to say, but I don't anymore. Everyone already knows.
Here are more examples, so you can feel the pattern.
I used to live with my parents.
She used to work in a small office.
We used to have dinner together every Sunday.
Do you see the pattern? Every time, something from the past, something that has changed, something that is no longer true today.
Now, the grammar is very simple.
What's the structure?
Subject, used to, base verb. I used to work, she used to live, they used to eat. Always the base verb after used to. Never ing, never ed.
And for negatives, this is important because many people make a mistake here.
What mistake do they make?
They say, I didn't used to eat meat, with a D at the end of used.
The correct way is, I didn't used to eat meat, with no D, because did is already doing the past tense job. You don't need the D twice.
And the same rule applies to questions. Did you used to work here? No D on use.
But here's something interesting. In speaking, used to and used to sound exactly the same. You cannot hear the difference at all.
So in conversation, there's no problem. But in writing, be careful. Negatives and questions lose the D.
You know, when I first moved to a big city, I used to take the bus everywhere. I didn't even own a car. Now I drive every single day. Completely different life.
And notice, when Jake says, I used to take the bus, we immediately understand he doesn't take the bus now. The contrast with today is automatic.
I didn't need to say, but now I drive. The phrase did that work for me.
And one more thing. You cannot use used to if the situation is still true today. You cannot say, I used to live in this city and I still do.
That is impossible. Used to always means the situation has changed. If nothing has changed, you need a different structure.
So, friends, practice these common ones first. I used to work, I used to live, I used to have, I didn't used to like, did you used to go?
Get comfortable with those first, and then add more.
Okay, now a quick summary before we move on.
Used to is for past habits and past states that are no longer true.
It is always followed by the base verb, never ing, never ed.
In negatives and questions, drop the D. Didn't used to. Did you used to?
And remember, the contrast with today is always built in. Everyone already knows the situation has changed.
Used to is about your past, something that was true but isn't anymore.
So we know used to is about the past. But what about be used to and get used to? These two are completely different.
Different how?
They have nothing to do with the past. Be used to means something is already normal for you. It's familiar, it's comfortable. It doesn't feel strange anymore.
So imagine you have been waking up at 6 in the morning for years. It's just part of your life now. You say, I am used to waking up early.
And that tells the listener This is already normal for me. I have no problem with it. It doesn't bother me at all.
She is used to working long hours.
He is used to living alone.
They are used to the noise in the city.
Do you see the pattern? Every time something that is already familiar, already comfortable, already normal.
Now here is something very important. After be used to, you always use an ing verb or a noun, never the base verb.
Can you show us the difference?
Of course. The correct way, I am used to working late. The wrong way, I am used to work late. That base verb after be used to is the #1 mistake English learners make with this phrase.
And be changes depending on the subject and the tense. I am used to, she is used to, they were used to, he will be used to. Only be changes, the used to part stays exactly the same.
And what about get used to? How is that different?
Get used to means you're in the process of becoming comfortable with something. It's not completely normal yet, but you're getting there. You're on the journey.
So imagine you just started a new job with early morning hours. It's difficult right now, but slowly it's becoming easier. You say, I am getting used to waking up early.
And that tells the listener, it's not completely normal yet, but I'm adapting, I'm making progress.
She is getting used to her new office.
He got used to the long commute after a few weeks.
They are getting used to living in a new country.
And just like be used to, after get used to, you always use an ing verb or a noun, never the base verb. I am getting used to working with a new team. Correct. I am getting used to work with a new team. Wrong.
You know, when I started my current job 3 years ago, I wasn't used to presenting in front of large groups at all. It felt very uncomfortable. I spent months getting used to it, and now I'm completely used to it. I actually enjoy it.
And did you notice what Jake just did? He used all 3 phrases to tell one story. Wasn't used to, it wasn't normal for him. Getting used to, he was in the process of adapting. Completely used to it. Now it's fully normal.
One situation, 3 phrases, 3 completely different moments in the same journey.
And that is the key difference between these two. Be used to is the destination, something is already normal. Get used to is the journey, something is becoming normal.
Think of it this way. You move to a new city. On day 1, I am not used to the traffic. It feels strange and overwhelming.
After 2 months, I am getting used to the traffic. Still a little difficult, but you're adapting.
After 1 year, I am used to the traffic. Completely normal now. It doesn't bother you at all.
Same city, same traffic, 3 different moments. And each phrase tells the listener exactly where you are in that experience.
And this actually matters in real conversations. Imagine your first week at a new job and your manager asks, "Are you used to the new system?"
And you say, yes, I am used to it, but you're actually still struggling. Now your manager thinks you need no help and you never get the support you needed.
The honest answer is, I am getting used to it. That tells your manager you're making progress, but you might still need a little support.
So friends, these phrases are not just grammar. They tell people exactly where you are in your experience. Use them correctly and people understand you perfectly. And one more thing about be used to that many learners don't know. You cannot use it in a continuous form. You cannot say, I am being used to it. That is always wrong.
Because be used to describes a state, something that is already normal and settled. States don't take continuous forms. The correct way is always, I am used to it.
And with get used to, you'll hear it a lot in the future tense. Someone starts a new job and their colleague says, don't worry, you'll get used to it.
That is one of the most natural and common phrases in everyday English. You'll get used to it means right now it feels strange, but with time it will become normal.
You know, it's interesting. In many languages, one word covers all 3 meanings. In Spanish, acostumbrar. In Arabic, i'tad. In Chinese, xiguan. One word does everything.
So when learners confuse these 3 phrases, it's not because they're careless, It's because their language simply does not need three separate phrases here, and English does.
So if you have been mixing these up, please don't worry about it. Your brain was doing exactly what it was trained to do, using the rules from your own language.
Okay, now a quick summary before we move on.
Okay. Be used to means something is already normal and familiar. It is the destination.
Get used to means something is becoming normal. It is the journey.
Both are always followed by an ing verb or a noun, never the base verb.
And remember the central rule. Used to is about your past. Be used to is about your normal. Get used to is your journey.
Past, normal, journey. Remember those three words and you will never confuse these phrases again. We have learned about all three phrases. Now, let's test your understanding with a quick quiz.
5 questions. We will give you a sentence and you decide, correct or wrong.
And we will explain every answer. This is just for practice, so no stress at all.
Ready? Here we go.
Question 1. Listen carefully. When I was a child, I used to playing football every weekend.
Correct or wrong?
Wrong. After used to, you always need the base verb, not ing. The correct sentence is, when I was a child, I used to play football every weekend.
Remember, used to is always followed by the base verb, never ing, never ed. That rule has no exceptions.
Question 2. I am used to working late. I've been doing it for years.
Correct or wrong?
Correct. This sentence is perfect.
Why is it correct? Because something is already normal and familiar, and used to is correctly followed by the ing form, working.
Well done if you got that one right.
Question 3. I am being used to the noise in my new apartment.
Correct or wrong?
Wrong. Be used to describes a state, and states never take a continuous form.
The correct sentence is, I am used to the noise in my new apartment. You never say, am being used to. Never.
If something is already normal and familiar, it is a state, and states in English don't use continuous forms.
Question 4. I just started this job last week. I am getting used to work with my new team.
Correct or wrong?
Wrong. After get used to, you always need the ing form, not the base verb.
The correct sentence is, I am getting used to working with my new team. This is the #1 mistake learners make with both be used to and get used to.
After be used to and get used to, always ing or a noun, never the base verb, never.
Last question, question 5. My friend just moved to a new country. It's only been 2 weeks. I tell her, don't worry, you'll get used to it.
Correct or wrong?
Correct. This sentence is completely natural.
Why is it correct? Because get used to works perfectly in the future tense. It means right now it feels strange, but with time it will become normal.
And you will get used to it is one of the most common and natural phrases in everyday English. You will hear it constantly.
How many did you get right? Tell us in the comments. 1 out of 5, 2, 3, 4, or perfect score.
If you made mistakes, that is completely okay. That is exactly how learning works.
The important thing is your thinking and practicing.
Now we are going to look at the most common mistakes people make with these 3 phrases and exactly how to fix them.
This next part will save you from a lot of embarrassing moments.
So we have learned all 3 phrases, and now we want to show you the mistakes people make most often.
And these are mistakes we hear all the time from English learners at every level. So if you recognize yourself here, please don't feel bad about it.
That just means you are learning.
Mistake number 1. using the base verb after be used to or get used to. People say, I am used to work late, or I am getting used to work with my new team.
The correct way, I am used to working late. I am getting used to working with my new team. After be used to and get used to, always ing or a noun, never the base verb.
And this mistake happens because used to in the first phrase is followed by a base verb. So the brain carries that pattern across, but it simply does not work for the other two.
Mistake number 2, using used to for something that is still true today. People say, I used to live in London, and I still do.
That is impossible. The moment you say used to, everyone understands the situation has already changed. If nothing has changed, the correct way is simply, I live in London.
Used to always means it is over. If it is still happening right now, you cannot use it.
Mistake number 3, keeping the D in negatives and questions. People write, I didn't used to eat meat, or did you used to live here?
The correct way, I didn't used to eat meat. Did you used to live here? No D, because did is already carrying the past tense. You don't need the D twice.
And remember, in speaking, this doesn't matter because both sound exactly the same. But in writing, always drop the D in negatives and questions.
Okay, now 3 tricky situations that confuse even advanced learners.
What's the first one?
All 3 phrases can appear in the same story. Imagine someone says, I used to work from home, then I moved to an office. I spent months getting used to commuting every day. Now I am completely used to it.
That is one person, one experience, and all 3 phrases telling 3 completely different parts of the same story. Used to, the past habit that ended. Getting used to, the process of adapting. Used to it, the destination where it is now fully normal.
When you see all 3 together like that, it is not confusing at all. Each one has a completely different job.
The second tricky situation, you will get used to it versus you will be used to it.
What is the difference?
Imagine your friend just started a new job and is struggling. You say, don't worry, you will get used to it. That means the process of adapting will happen in the future.
But if you say, by next month, you will be used to it, that means by next month, the adaptation will already be complete. It will already feel normal.
Get used to it, the journey will happen. Be used to it, the destination will be reached. Both correct, but they describe different moments in time.
And the third tricky situation, never used to. Many learners drop the D here and write never used to.
But with never, you keep the D. He never used to complain. She never used to be late. The D stays.
Remember, only didn't and did cause you to drop the D. With never, the D always stays.
Friends, these mistakes and tricky situations are things even advanced learners struggle with, so please do not worry if some of these surprised you today.
Write in the comments which of these was new for you. We read every single comment.
Now, let's put everything together in a real conversation. Jake has just started a new office job after working from home for 3 years. It is his 3rd week. I have been working there for 5 years.
Listen carefully. Count how many times you hear used to, be used to, and get used to.
Ready? Here we go. Hey, Jake, how are you finding everything so far? 3rd week already.
It's going okay. Honestly, it's quite different from what I expected. I used to work from home for 3 years. Complete silence, no one around me. Now there are people everywhere.
I remember that feeling. Are you getting used to the office noise?
Slowly. I am getting used to it, but I have to be honest, some mornings are still a little overwhelming.
That's completely normal. It took me months when I first started. But now I'm so used to it that I actually find silence strange.
Really? I cannot imagine that right now. I used to have my whole day planned by myself. No meetings, no interruptions. Now everything is different.
What else are you finding difficult?
So, the commute. I used to walk from my bedroom to my desk in 30 seconds. Now it's 45 minutes each way.
Are you getting used to it?
Getting there. My body's not used to waking up this early yet, but I know it will become normal eventually.
It will. And the good news is, once you're used to the routine, you actually start to enjoy the commute. I listen to podcasts now and I love it.
Really? I never thought of it that way.
Give it another month. You'll be used to all of it before you know it.
I hope you're right.
Okay, did you catch them all?
Let's go through them together.
I used to work from home for 3 years. Used to for a past habit that ended. Jake doesn't work from home anymore.
Are you getting used to the office noise? Get used to in a question, asking about the process of adapting. Is it becoming normal yet?
I'm getting used to it, but some mornings are still overwhelming. Get used to in progress, not complete yet, still on the journey.
Now I'm so used to it that I find silence strange. Be used to at the destination. Completely normal, fully adapted.
I used to have my whole day planned by myself. Used to, again, another past habit that ended when Jake started the new job.
My body is not used to waking up this early yet. Be used to in the negative. This is not normal yet, still feels strange.
You will be used to all of it before you know it. Be used to in the future. The destination will be reached. It will all feel completely normal soon.
Did you notice how natural it sounded? We were not thinking about grammar at all. The phrases just came out naturally.
And friends, this is exactly how you will use them too once you practice enough. Now, we are going to help you build your own sentences.
We will give you a pattern and you fill in your own words. Say it out loud. Don't just think it.
Ready? 3 patterns.
Pattern 1. Something you did in the past but don't do anymore. The structure, when I was blank, I used to blank.
My example. When I was a student, I used to stay up until midnight every night.
My example. When I was younger, I used to spend every weekend at my grandmother's house.
Now you. Think about something from your past that has changed. When I was blank, I used to blink. Say it out loud.
Pattern 2. Something that is already completely normal for you. The structure, I'm used to blank because blank.
My example. I'm used to waking up early because I've been doing it for years.
My example. I'm used to working with deadlines because every job I've had moves fast.
Now you. Think about something in your life that feels completely normal and familiar. I'm used to blank because blank. Say it out loud.
Pattern 3. Something you are still adapting to right now. The structure, I'm getting used to blank, but it is still blank.
My example. I'm getting used to living in a new city, but it is still a little lonely sometimes.
My example. I'm getting used to my new schedule, but it is still difficult to wake up so early.
Now you. Think about something in your life that is becoming more normal, but is not completely comfortable yet. I'm getting used to blank, but it is still blank. Say it out loud.
These are your sentences about your life and your experience.
Use them when you speak English with your friends, your colleagues, your family.
The more you practice speaking, the more natural it becomes.
All right, friends. So today we learned about 3 phrases that look almost identical, but mean completely different things.
Used to is for past habits and past states that are no longer true. I used to work from home. She used to live with her parents. Something that was true, but isn't anymore.
It is always followed by the base verb. And in negatives and questions, you drop the D. I didn't used to. Did you used to?
Be used to means something is already completely normal and familiar. I am used to the noise. She is used to working late. You have reached the destination.
It is always followed by ing or a noun, never the base verb. And because it describes a state, you never use a continuous form. Never, I am being used to it.
Get used to means you are in the process of becoming comfortable with something. I am getting used to my new schedule. He got used to the commute after a few weeks. You are still on the journey.
Also followed by ing or a noun, never the base verb. And in the future, you will get used to it. One of the most natural and common phrases in everyday English.
So remember the three jobs. Used to, your past. Be used to, your normal. Get used to, your journey.
Friends, if this felt like a lot today, please don't worry. These three phrases take time even for advanced learners. The important thing is you are aware of the differences now, and awareness is always the first step.
Now here is your challenge for this week.
Think about something real in your life right now, something from your past, something that is already normal, or something you are still adapting to.
Write it in the comments using one of the three phrases. For example, I used to take the bus to work, but now I drive. Or I am getting used to cooking at home every day. Or I am used to working early mornings now.
Any sentence, any situation, something real from your own life, and say it out loud before you write it. Don't just think it, actually speak it. If this episode helped you, please subscribe to the English Speaking Show. We have new episodes every week. Practical English for real life.
Thank you so much for learning with us today.
You now understand used to, be used to, and get used to, and that is a really big step forward. Well done.
See you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.